Good morning, everyone. Oh my God, I have my voice, I think. Today is Saturday, July 26th, and today we will cover the trades for YieldMax funds, TSLY, CONY, NVIDIA, MSTY, SMCY, and PLTY, and also some bonus content at the end of the video. We will cover ULTY, but it will not be from me. It will be from the ETF inspector. He's going to join us. He's kind enough to, present his ULTY coverage that he normally does. He covers, again, ULTY almost, I believe, on a daily basis, but he'll be joining at the end and explaining to us kind of what happened with ULTY towards the end of the week. I know you people love ULTY, so we're going to give it to you. All right. But for now, let's start with MSTY. What kind of trades did the MSTY have yesterday? Let's see. A lot. And let me just check if the audio works. All right. Good morning, Jaban. Thank you for confirming audio. If you're on X, if you could also confirm the audio. By the way, thank you, Mr. Fantastic Hero, for reposting the stream. So yeah, MSTY, obviously they closed out their trades that expired yesterday and they rolled them into the following week. And what you see here, they also added 750 contracts twice to the 390 synthetic. And that's pretty much it. Again, there's a lot of trades to go through. Not terrible, but enough to keep me moving as I got home a little later than usual last night. But you could see here, again, we have 5 synthetics, so 5 synthetic tabs. They added the 750 twice. What they have to pay, about 2.9 million to begin those positions, because again, they're already ahead of the game, so the call is not going to be cheap. MSTR is at 405. The strike for here is at 390, and this one expires on September the 19th. All right, let's get to the weeklies tab and moving along here. All right, so how did MSTR do yesterday? Well, it was a rather red day. It started red and it stayed red. So MSTR did go down about 2.18%. MSTY went down as well, but not as much. It went down 2.02%. So let's scroll up and kind of read the trades. Oh, actually the IV update, sorry. IV changed from yesterday. It did go from 49 to 47. But guess what, baby? This morning, 50%. Oh, yeah. We're back in the 50s. Sucker. All right. Hopefully it stays there and it goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up. All right. So how did we do? Again, I'll keep it short and sweet. We won. We won, baby. We made bank, bro. All right. MSTR went down. Guess what? Who gives a damn? We're selling covered calls. We profited on every freaking trade. Look at this. 4 cents, 5 cents, 4 cents, 4 cents, 3 cents. So we won every trade. All right. How much did we win? How much did we profit per trade? Well, I can tell you that in a second. Let's see. Well, we got 2,044 there, right? We got another 5.1 million there, another 1.4 million right there, another 2.1 right up in her. And then what's this bunch? 8.6 mil. What do we get? 5.6 mil. And again, last bunch here, 2.2 mil. Oh yeah, here's this little squeaky down here, 525,000. So yeah, I mean, again, look at this one. I want to point this one out. This one was open on July 23rd, expiration date July 25th. This is a 2 DTE, right? Because why the hell not, right? At the time, it was 1.78% out of the money. It ended up 3.48% out of the money. So we got a 385 credit. We paid 35 cents to close it. So again, why the hell not? And it was a good move. We made 525,000. So again, guys, overall, really, really good week. There's nothing. Let me fix this. Actually, this is a call credit spread, as they say. Call credit spread. We want to border them, kind of group them together as their own. But yeah, man, they just a good week. Again, MSTR, little red, but it's okay, man. It's okay. Again, perfect scenario is MSTR continues to go up a little bit and we win all of our covered call trades. All right, outstanding share update. They did go up by 2.2 mil. Obviously, you saw the addition to the synthetic positions. So obviously, they're getting that new money and then putting it to work. Not sure if anyone confirmed the audio on X. But again, if you're on X and you can just type audio works, I would appreciate that, because we are streaming on both YouTube and X. And I see we have 180 people in total so far. So here's the recap. MSTY closed out the week, $20.83. MSTR, 405.89. 30-day IV, 50%. Outstanding shares, 265 mil. Total net income, unfortunately, yes, we ended up with a loss. And this is the closeout. This is closeout of the 4 weeks. $110 million loss on the weeklies. But again, we closed out pretty damn good. MSTR funds tab. Again, this is where we kind of track the price movement on not only MSTR, but the various funds that trade MSTR now, right? So let me see if I could shrink these columns a little bit, just a little bit. No, I'll do it another day. But MSTR, again, it went down 2.18%. MSTY went down 2.02%. Winter went up, again, as intended. Thank you, Johnny G, for confirming the audio. IMST went down 7.61%. Oh, crap. It was their ex-dividend date. My bad. Let's see. Did I got to add their distro up in there. Right here, 291. Okay, there you go. IMST only went down 2.02% then, just like MSTY. Okay. MST went down 4.11%. Again, leverage. So as it goes up, it does good. As it goes down, it does worse. MS2, it went down 2.34%. And MSTW, the newest one that joins the group, went down 2.62%. So again, they have 1.2x leverage. So that's why they went down more. But IMST with the win. Again, MSTY tied up to what, the 100th, but obviously if you go further down the decimals, I believe IMST won. At least Google is showing that. But so good job, IMST. Good job, MSTY too. But regardless, what's the reaction? Well, there's the reaction. If you know who that is the ETF inspector, the one, the only, the ETF inspector will be joining us at the end of the video. By the way, Group D declares next week. So tomorrow morning, you know what time it is. It's freaking MSTY guesstimate time. So we're going to take our numbers, we're going to throw them together, and we're going to guess what the hell is MSTY paying, right? I don't know. Do you know? I don't. And by the way, yes, there's going to be a surprise guest at the end of the guesstimate discussion. So you might want to join the party. All right. So payment information. We got synthetics totaling 178 mil. Sweet. Weeklies, that's a loss of 110 mil. Not so sweet. So total net income, 68 million. That comes to 26 cents per share. So if we use that number, that means you're going to get a yield of 16% on the next payment. However, they're not going to pay that. They're going to pay more. They're going to pay more so in the range of the gains or the IV. However, where we ended up, it's not where you want to be, right? The IV is a 50%. Okay, that's fine. That would pay 80 cents. And the gains, it only went up 89 cents now because, again, it did drop yesterday. And that would be a 56% yield. If I were to guess right now, I would put a number, obviously, above both of those, only because it's MSTY, and MSTY pays bank bro. You know what I'm saying? Bank bro. All right, let's go to the MSTY holdings and see how we doing for next week. Let's see. All right, so again, they got some covered calls. They're adding covered call spreads, again, to protect them from cappity doodah. But right now, they are pretty much scattered, which means what? They have scattered strikes all over the place. They go anywhere from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8% out of the money. Lowest strike 420, highest strike 440. We'll see how the week goes, but yes, they do have buy calls, or as they say, butt buddies, or as they say, insurance plays to protect them in case they get capped. Synthetic wise, how they doing? Well, they got a 385, a 385, a 390. They've got a lot of synthetics. All right, you don't need to know that. too much right now, but they didn't cash them out. They're still open. There's two that expire on the 8th, August 15th, and then two that expire on September 19th. If you total all them up and you want to see how much they're worth, well, the value is 255 mil, and you share that with all the suckers here, and you get about 97 cents per share on paper. All right. The value of the MSTY fund is 5.5 bill. The NAV is 2082, and the trade price is 2083. Synthetic contracts, they now total 136,015. Total number of contracts that they are selling covered calls on is 78%, or 107,000. So, that's good, man. Because again, no cap on the upside on about 21.05%, right? So that's pretty damn sweet if you think about it. And we have the insurance coverage. So again, if MSTR is going to go up next week, would be a pretty good week for it to do so. All right, so if we look at some of their competitors, here's IMST. Again, they're holding a synthetic and they're selling calls. Similar strategy. Their calls, not for next week, but the week after expiration date, are 12, 15, and 17% out of the money. So they're looking okay right now. Value of this fund is 76 mil. They're selling covered calls on only 63% of their position. Their NAV is all screwed up because, again, I don't think they update their outstanding shares. So whatever, or whatevs. Anyway, their latest, we saw yesterday was X date. Obviously, they paid $291, and that would be a 75% yield based on the price on declaration date. MS2, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is what I'm showing the holdings is. There is no position over the weekend on MS2, so nothing to really talk about here. So we'll just kind of pass by and say bye. Hi kids, bye kid. No, what is it? Hi toys, bye toys. Sorry, that's a Toy Story reference. Yes, I like Toy Story. All right, MST Holdings, what are they doing? Well, again, this is a freaking weird ass fund, right? They got swaps, they're buying calls, they're selling calls. They're doing this, that, the other thing. But what do you need to know? I mean, it's a leverage fund that sells calls. Okay, great. So here's the long calls, right? And then here's the swappity doodah. Okay, fine. But what about their calls? Are they good? Well, they're 2 and 5% out of the money, and they expire next Friday. I don't know if they're good. I mean, that's pretty tight. So we don't know, man. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll sit and watch. Again, how much of the position, or at least the long calls, forget the swap, the long calls, are they doing covered calls on? 72%. And you can see the price here is at $17.05. They declared already early in the week, so nothing to talk about there. And by the way, thank you, Alien from Discord. Yes, his name is Alien, and he's in Discord, and he's a genius because the formula he gave me is just pure insanity. I'm not even going to pull it up on the screen, but it's just pure insanity. Like, I don't know how these computer freaking people, or I didn't say nerds, because these computer people figure this stuff out. But I just want to say thank you, Alien, for giving me this formula. And here are the holdings for MSTW. In case you don't understand how it works, I do have a video coming out early next week. I did Monday or Tuesday launch. Unless you're Wolfpack, you can watch it now. But basically, it's a leverage fund. They don't sell calls. I don't want to, spoil the video, but long story short, they do 1.2x leverage and they pay a distribution. That's the end of it. How are they doing that leverage? Well, right now they're doing a long call, which is deep in the money, by the way, and they're buying some MSTR outright. The normal funds, though, what they normally do is they do 100% in the swap and they do 20% of the holdings. So I assume once they get more money into the fund, they'll start doing that. But we'll keep an eye on it and see how it works. All I'm going to say is I'm surprised that this is what it is. Like, I thought it was going to be something different, a little more active than this, but hey, whatever. People seem to love it. I guess, the other funds are working as long as the bull market. Bear market, yikes. Good luck, buddy. Anyway, we'll keep track of it, see how it's doing. All right, let's get to the other trades, and then we will go from there. Let's see if TSLY had trades. Again, we are in alphabetical order. So what is TSLY doing? What are you doing, TSLY? Well, you're doing a lot. Sell call, buy call, sell call, buy call. So okay. All right, here's about to close 4 cents. So yeah, good day. 4.7 million realized profit yesterday for TSLY. So that's a pretty good day, right? Because again, Tesla had supposedly bad earnings, quote unquote, for the investors, or they believe so, because it tanked the day before. Then it went up 3.4% the next day. And Tesla, guess what? Fallen behind, only 83% capture. Again, it meets the 80% threshold, but look at 3.4 versus 2.84. Plus, again, if they opened up some covered calls already for next week, those are going to be screwed. Let's take a look. Yeah, so these are probably at the top. So these are the positions for next week. Lowest strike 315, 0.34% out of the money. But we go all the way up to 332.50. That is 5.2% out of the money. So again, if Tesla trades flat next week, it's fine. It's great. If it flies to the moon, then we're probably going to roll these suckers into a higher strike price to capture more of the upside. But they do have the credit call spreads in case that does happen. But we'll keep an eye on that. Tesla is currently at 316.06. The synthetics are at 290 and 295. So they're still doing good. They're actually worth a total of 96 mil or 67 cents per share. The value of the fund is 1.1 bill. The NAV is 776. Trade price 775. 30-day IV 46%. IV estimate based on that 28 cents. Income estimate negative. All right. But Group A declares in 11 days. They're not up next week, but hopefully they do good next week so we can give them a good guesstimate. But so far, it's looking like it's going to be maybe a rough one. I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye. All right. Up next, your boy NVIDIA nerds. Where my nerds at? All right. Let's go. Let's pull up the trades, man. Let's go in alphabetical order because we know our alphabet here, I think. All right, here's NVIDIA. Okay, a lot of trades, way too many trades. But we'll just go down the line. Again, what do we care about on this page? We care how much they paid to close the trade. All right, buy to close, 4 cents. Buy to close, 6 cents, 5 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents, 3 cents. All right, 3 cents. Basically, they won all their trades, right? Anything they closed yesterday, those trades ended up in a profit, and then they rolled them into new trades. You can see how much income that they made yesterday alone, $8.7 million. So yeah, man, you got a lot of money, or as they say, bank bro up in here. NVIDIA, how you doing? Well, they went down 0.14%. NVIDIA went down 0.06%. So that's not bad. Not a bad day. That's actually really good, nice. We like boring, right? We like selling covered calls in a boring, flatline market. Show me the money. All right. Anyway, for next week, NVIDIA, they only have 3 strikes: 175, 177.50, and 180. 0.86% to 3.75% out of the money. So if NVIDIA flies to the moon, good luck. Anyway, their synthetics sit at 165 and 170, while NVIDIA is at 173.50. So their synthetics are valuable, but nothing to get too excited about. It's worth about 73 cents per share. The value of the NVIDIA fund is 1.8 bill. The NAV is 1710, trade price 1708. 30-day IV, 33%. IV estimate based on that, 44 cents. But check this out, guys. Income estimate, 276. All right, we still got that beauty. Again, they made that the first week of this forward cycle. So, yeah, man, we got to think about that when we talk about their guesstimate when it comes up in 18 days, right, on August 13th. All right, up next, your boy, the true cone heads up in her, CONY heads. Where you at? You know, every time I pull up CONY, you guys are supposed to be typing in the chat. If you know how to spell it, of course. All right, let's see if the CONY heads had trades. You know, that's your participation. All right. Let's see. Look at that, Dre. Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say. All right. So I was on Spaces with YieldMax. And Josh was calling it D-Ray, Josh from YieldMax. I'm like, no, it's Dre. It's Dre. Although I like D-Ray too. D-Ray. All right, anyway, buy to close, penny, buy to close, penny. All right, winner, winner, chicken freaking dinner. All right. All right, let's see. Let's see how we doing. All right, coin went down yesterday. Rough day in the in the crypto market is what it is. It's all right. Went down 1.29%, but guess what? CONY only went down 0.67%. So in your face. All right, let's check out their covered calls for next week. See if we have a good setup. Yeah, we do. We got 4 strikes, 5, 6, 7, and 11% out of the money. Not bad. 5 trading days. We'll keep an eye. We'll get ready. It's going to be a good one. Synthetic is kind of at the money. They're at 390. Coin is at 391. So we'll see how that goes. And then we're going to get synthetic income right now on paper. It's worth 6 cents per share. But again, that's not going to do much for us at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The value of the CONY fund is 1.4 bill. The NAV is 897. The trade price is 899. 30-day IV, 60%. IV estimate based on that, 42 cents. Income estimate, 10 cents. All right, 10 cents. 10 cents. I know, we don't want 10 cents. We want more than that. But again, they got 25 days till their next declaration on August 20th. So stay tuned for that, Chico. All right, so let's go to SMCY suckers. All right, there's a lot of SMCY suckers here. We know. There you go. All right, only 4 trades. I like that. Keep it simple. Buy to close, 2 cents. Yeah, what's up? 2 cents. You know what that means? That means we won. That means we won our trade. You know what? So again, a good day. Good day. And then they sold calls into next week. Woo, wow. Not even 1% out of the money. So, all right, let's take a look at the file, see what the other calls are at. But SMCY, okay, wow, they had a really good day. They went up 3.58%. SMCY captured 2.88%. So they captured 80%, just like that, 80%. But are we cappity doodah already? I don't know, man. Let's see. All right, ignore this buy call. They just let that expire because, again, it's a $60 buy call. SMCI is at 54 cents. This shows a penny. But if it's still on their sheet, we'll call it their balance sheet, their holdings, that means they couldn't even get a penny for it. No one wants this crap for a penny. So that's why it's going to sit there and it's going to expire worthless. It'll drop off on the Tuesday morning holdings that you'll see. All right, so what about the others? Well, we got a 54, 55, 56. All right, the 54, yep, it's in the money already, 0.86% in the money. The 55 and the 56, 0.97% and 2.81% out of the money. So these strikes are tight for SMCY because SMCI, man, that sucker moves. How's our synthetic doing? Well, it's doing freaking good, man. It's doing really good because it's a 45 and SMCI is at 54. So let's check out how much that's worth. It's worth 56 mil or 387 per share. Again, it's on paper. Does it mean anything? Well, kind of, yeah. But again, that's if they closed it today as of the Friday closing price, man, that would make some bank. Anyway, what's the value of SMCY? It's still pretty low. Again, I think this is an underrated fund. It's worth 318 mil. The NAV is 21.79. The trade price 21.86. 30-day IV. I mean, this is a beauty. This is what makes this fund awesome because it's so damn volatile. 74% IV. Trading options on a 74% IV is freaking amazing. So you get, if you even calculate the estimate based on that, you're looking at $1.25. So forget about the synthetic bank, bro. Look at the IV estimate alone, $1.25. I mean, I don't know. I think that's sweet. Income estimate, 9 cents. Oh, by the way, that's it. It's time. I got to come up with a guesstimate because they declare in 4 days on July 30th. What is my guesstimate, though? I don't know. You guys got to help me out here. But SMCY suckers, so far, so good for you guys. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Up next is the PLTY posse, as they say. or they say what? P to the L to the T to the Y. All right, let's go to. All right. Here we go. Uh-oh. Yikes. If you see a bot at close and you're paying $4.44 per share, you're going to say, oh no. Oh no, we lost that trade. It's okay. Because look, the strike was 155 and the stock price 158. All right. Bot at close, $1.94. This one's a little closer, but it still looks like a loss overall. Bot at close put, bot at close call. All right. So it looks like they had to sell out of some of the fund because someone sold their position. But again, in the process, they made money on the synthetic, which helped the damage for the day. Let's see, bot at close 234. This is another close one. And bot at close 235. Oh man, it looks like they just lost their trades, not by much, by a little bit. But it was a nail biter to the end. In the end, it was a realized loss for the day of about $1.1 million. So PLTY posse, you fought to the bitter end, but you know the market got you. All right, Palantir, it went up 2.48%. PLTY only went up 1.35%. So that is for sure some cappity doodah. You should be wearing your caps today. Oh boy, 54% capture. What in tarnation? All right, let's check out the covered calls. What do we got going here? Let's see. All right, so we are not quite cappity doodah. I mean, we were cappity doodah on the other positions. They could have closed them out late, which is why the recovery wasn't quite, you know, higher than what we wanted it to be. But you know, because if they did them early, I would imagine these would be more in the money. So I'm guessing they did them probably in the afternoon. Who the hell knows? You guys could probably check the charts of Palantir and tell. I know a lot of people do that. All right. So anyway, how we doing? Well, we got two calls. We got two strikes. We got a 162.50 and a 165, 2 and 3% out of the money. So how we doing for next week? Well, it's going to be tie. All right. So let's look at that synthetic. It's a 140. Palantir is a 158. So yeah. Bank bro. How much, bank? 80 million. Their synthetic position is worth 866 per share. So as much as we went, we lost the calls, our synthetic is worth freaking bank, bro, 866. Are you kidding me? Yeah, kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? All right, so the value of the fund is 639 mil. The NAV is 6909, and the trading price is 68.90. So 30-day IV, 64%. IV estimate based on that, 343. Income estimate, 86 cents. You know, again, it's still early. They got 18 days till their next declaration. But again, their IV estimate alone, I think, is beautiful enough, right? 343 plus. We think there's some holdback. We think there's some, you know, left in the payout, 90%. Again, they have to pay out 90% of the income before the fiscal year ends on October 31st. All right, guys, so that's the end of my YieldMax coverage. Now I'm going to go over to my options coverage, and then I'm going to let ETF Inspector, well, first I'll introduce him, and then I'll let him take over the screen. But for now, I'm going to let him join the voice. Let me add him real quick. And then, all right, ETF Inspector, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
And if everyone in the chat can confirm they can hear him as well, that would be great. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'll do my options coverage, and then I'll do like introduce you, and then I'll unshare, then we'll go from there, if that works for you.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, options party time. All right, thank you, Steele, for confirming. All right, so I sold a put on MSTY, as you know, about 2 weeks ago because I wanted to buy more shares. I chose a $22 strike, which at the time was in the money, and it stayed in the money because MSTY closed yesterday. It was a down day, right? Closed at 20.83. So in the end, that position did get assigned. So now I own 100 more shares on my MSTY position, which again, I do wheel MSTY when the time allows. Obviously, there's no calls assigned yet. So I did add now a $22 cost basis to my overall 600 share position in this account. Again, the cost basis overall, it's getting a little better. It's now at 25.67. But if MSTY goes up to say 22, 23, 24 next week, then I can consider selling covered calls on any one of these positions. All right, so let's go to TSLL and see how that fared with Tesla going green yesterday. So I got a lot of action here, but for the ones that expired on July 25th, I had two $12 puts that expired yesterday. Both of them were going to get assigned, but I did decide to roll the first one. I did a rolling order there. So right now you'll see it's right down here. I had to pay 82 cents to close out the old put, and then I got a credit of 105 on the new put. So they paid me 23 bucks to roll that sucker, and I got about 99% yield for that money, because why the hell not, right? And then what else expired yesterday? Let's check it out. We got another put for 10 bucks, but since TSLL closed above 10, that one expired worthless. So I got my collateral back of $1,000. And then we have a call here. The strike price here was 14 bucks, obviously well above the price of TSLL of 11.27. So that expired worthless. And then the other $12 put that I spoke of, I left that alone. So that one got assigned, and I'll show you where I added that down below. And then I had two more calls, an 11 and a 15. Obviously, the 11 was going to get assigned, so I decided to roll that. And then the other one did expire worthless. So the 11 that I rolled, I'll just show you down here real quick. When you click, I didn't put the how much I paid, but the net was 38 cents. After it did the buy to close and then the sell to open, which is the create rolling order. But overall, again, that yielded 177%. So again, why the hell not roll it, right? If I think this is going to get assigned anyway, then fine. Let's just roll it as long as I can. So in the end, it was a good week for TSLL trades. But right now, I only have two contracts open, for next week. Let me grade these out, and then we can keep going. Okay. All right, so now I own 800 shares of TSLL. I only have covered calls on 100 of them. So you can see I added the 12 down here, which, my cost basis was god awful in the beginning. I was getting assigned all the way up at 22. Now I got it as low as 12. So the average cost basis is 16.21. But again, I'm just collecting premium in the process. You can see I made about 4,400 so far in this wheel. So, it's been an overall good time. This wheel started way back when, let's see, February 7th, which is nuts. But yeah, anyway, I made 141 for the week on TSLL. I'll get through TNA, and then we can let the only ETF inspector speak of his ULTY party. All right, so what do we got here? Only one contract expired yesterday. It was a put for 34, and TNA closed at 37. So obviously TNA is doing really good. So that call expired worthless. Fine. So basically everything else, though, it's open for in the future, right? Expires 8/1, 8/15. But obviously, yes, I did have one. No, that was a put. Yeah, did I say call? That was a put that expired worthless. Unfortunately, all my calls are still open, so I can't really sell calls on it next week. Even if TNA goes to the moon next week, obviously I have zero uncovered, so it's fine. It's all good. All right, so total for the week on TNA, let's see. I made $364. We go over to this tab for the closeout last ending week in July, I made $505 for the week. I needed 389, and I exceeded my goal by 116 bucks. So pretty damn sweet. Overall for the 4 weeks of July, again, week ending July, 245 bucks over, which is again not bad. So that's the amount, we'll reinvest back into the fund. And then, as mentioned, August, again, MSTY is going to pay twice in freaking August, which is going to be sweet, especially for me. So my goal is going to be very minimum number for options, so I don't have to play risky at all. I could play, like a little wuss and make probably a couple hundred a week, maybe 200 a week, and then I'll be fine. All right, so that's the end of my options coverage. Now, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, so ETF Inspector, I'll let him introduce himself in a second, and then I'll unshare. But ETF Inspector, he's a new YouTuber, and he already has 2,000 subscribers, over 2,000 subscribers. Basically, what he does is he covers high yield covered calls, right? He covers YieldMax. He covers basically most of the YieldMax that I don't. More importantly, he covers the complicated ones, the ones that take hours upon hours to go through, and that's ULTY, LFGY, etc. And as you can see, he's got some round hill stuff here. I'm going to pin his channel into the top of the comments. It's already pinned in the live chat, so if you're in the live chat, you can check that out, at least on YouTube. I'll throw it on X too, or if someone wants to do that, that's on X right now, it would be appreciated. But here's his channel. I'll let him do a quick introduction if he wants to, and then I'll unshare and let him run the show, because he's going to talk about ULTY and how it did for the week and how it's been doing. So ETF Inspector, do you want to give a quick introduction for the community?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you kind of already did. So I'm just a regular guy, just like you. I have a family, wife, and 3 daughters, and just been watching your show for a while. I actually tried to talk my brother into doing this because he's a lot better with options than I am. He kind of got me into it, but he was like, I'm not really into it. And then I was like, well, I can kind of do the same thing, just, not step over on anything you're doing. I talked to you about calling my stuff like Rod's rejects, the things that that you don't cover. So
yeah, but again, even if you wanted to, it's not even like I always say, it's not a competition out here. There's plenty of room for tons and tons of YouTubers, because I'm sure, as you see in the comments, people think I'm weird because I'm I start singing and all that. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and I appreciate you sharing your content. So I'm going to click unshare, and then I'll allow you to, let's make the attempt to share, and then we'll go from there. Oh, no, I have to add it. Okay, there it is. Perfect. All right. I assume everyone can see the screen, but if you can confirm in the chat, we'll go from there. So we'll let ETF Inspector run the show now. He'll talk about ULTY, and what we'll do is we'll do maybe some Q&A. If he has time at the end, we'll both have Q&A. All right, they confirmed they could see it, so I'll let you run with the show. And also, if you guys confirm that the Zoom is okay, the visual is okay, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, so my chart is a little too big to fit everything on the screen, so I do end up having to go back and forth. When I zoom out enough to show it, then you kind of can't read it. So I will move around. I already did my ULTY kind of Friday review, where Rod goes the following morning. I go that evening, and today was another example of why, just so you guys know. I woke up around 3:15 this morning thinking about this and couldn't fall back asleep. So that's why I just have to get my videos out of the way before I go to bed. Otherwise, I can't stop thinking. But so I definitely appreciate it. Like he said, it's not a competition, and he has been my biggest supporter. Definitely wouldn't be here without him. But without further ado, a lot of you guys are interested in ULTY, so I just want to talk about it. I'm kind of going to give you like a week review of how it made out, not so much reading line by line, because where you're used to these individual income funds where they're just trading MSTY, we've got 24 stocks within this currently, right? So that's a whole lot of options and positions to talk about. So I've updated all the IVs for each stock. So I also have a weighting. So basically how much money is in, say, Applied Optoelectronics compared to the total that is the sum of all shares. And then that's how we get a percentage. And that's how I weight the IVs of each one. So ULTY is the Ultra Option Income Fund, and they go after high IVs. So we all like MSTY. MSTY's sitting around 50. I think it dropped below it. But take a look at most of these IVs within the fund, 125%, 80, 100. I'm not going to read them all, but you can see we basically ranged. MSTY's one of the lower ones, 49 there. I think we have some in the 30s. 45. Okay, 45 is probably our lowest, but we've got a few over 100, a few close to 100 in the 80s. So they're going after high volatility funds. So that's why they need the extra protection. So they trade a collar strategy. With a collar strategy, you own the shares, you sell covered calls off of the shares for income, and you buy puts, protective puts, your insurance to protect it. And that is what has helped with the, I know Jay and them don't like the NAV erosion, whatever you want to call it, the share price dropping. So now if these high volatility.
I have a question. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt too much, but just so everyone knows, and I want to know too. Do you notice that they're doing that on all of them, or is there a couple where they're not actually buying puts?
We're 100%, 100%.
Okay.
Yep. So
yeah,
let's try to find a fairly.
Yeah, right. I thought I saw one the other day, like they did not buy the put. I think they actually had a credit call spread.
Yeah, so they have had, so when they do that though, they don't end up owning the underlying. So recently we had AMD, RH, and VRT, Vertiv, where we didn't own the shares, but we were just trading options spreads on them. So in those cases, they use some of those, you talked about it, where they've given themselves the ability to do anything they want in the fund. So when they don't own the shares, they don't buy protective puts because you don't have to protect them. If the stock price drops, you don't lose value because you didn't have any shares in the first place. They don't have like a synthetic or anything. They just have an option spread. But currently, they've closed those out, and we have 24 stocks within the fund right now, and there are protective puts on all of them. As you can see, right, there's the same amount, divided by 100 of puts as there are shares and sold calls. So they don't reserve anything. They put all the money to work. All right. So let's see. This was a different week than usual. So ULTY's been going up a whole lot lately based on changes in values, but they've been losing their trades. But we've heard Jay talk about that. That's okay by them. This week was a little different. We won our trades, but I put a plus or minus next to each stock within the fund to show how they did for the week. And it was 50-50. 12 out of the 24 were we're at a loss for the week, and 12 were at a positive or a gain. So, I did just notice I did not finish preparing. So I use a color coding system here. Red would be in the money. So if we're selling calls, we don't want them to go in the money because then we got to pay to close them out. So that's generally red. Yellow is out of the money, but close within 5%, and green is greater than 5% out of the money. I updated the spreadsheet with all new numbers and holdings, but I did not make it through updating the color. So my mistake for not being prepared. But
hey, like I always say, I make at least one mistake or two every video, but we always have tomorrow to make it up, right?
Yeah.
So what is it, conditional formatting, or you just highlight it yourself?
I have to change them just because all these formulas change on a daily basis. So when I get the new download, let's say this line used to be a put and now it's a call, then I have to change that from the one formula to the other. So I end up having to color them individually. So that's
okay. And if anyone has a question that's live here, you can put it in the comments. If it's relative to the current coverage, I'll ask the question to ETF Inspector as he's talking.
Okay, so I'm going to try and stop explaining so much just to not bore people and give you guys a little bit of information. As you can see, this is as of this morning. So $2.2 billion assets under management for ULTY. We started this week at 1.65 billion. So they've gone up almost $550 million just this week. That's a 33% increase in money flowing into the fund this week.
So that's huge, right?
Huge.
2 billion, AKA Bank Bro. So is this the first time it hit 2 billion, or did it hit the 2 billion the day before?
Yeah, it did hit it the day before.
Okay, so wow.
But and just another one. So I got a note here. There was 258 million outstanding shares at the start of the week. So there's been almost 100 million share increase in outstanding shares in 1 week. So that's insanity. But I was talking earlier, right? So you got your IVs for the funds. I got the weighting. So they are fairly evenly allocated. If you scroll through, there's a few that are on the lower end, but nothing really jumps out. They're all, for the most part, they're all roughly 3 to 5%. There's a couple that drop in the twos, but not really anything huge. The average is 4.17%. So they do kind of evenly allocate it. So when money comes in, they'll buy ones that they're lower on. Let's say SMCY goes through the moon and this gets up to like 150 million compared to the rest. They will sell a portion of those and split it amongst the others. So they do like to keep this pretty even for the most part. What else? We did take a little bit of a loss this week. Let me, as far as share price is concerned, right? So if we look at ULTY throughout the week, but last week we were up a lot. We increased a ton of value. We increased by over $100 million in value in the previous week. So we started high, and then some of the shares dropped some, like we said, 12 of each. So we ended the week at 627, but of course, don't forget we paid out over 10 cents there on Thursday. So realistically, we would only be down about 2 cents on the week. But if you've been watching them over a longer period of time, so we were down 2% on the week, roughly flat over the past month, but don't forget they've paid out roughly 40 cents in that past month and still stayed flat. That's pretty nice. And over the past 3 months, you've actually increased in your regular value, plus you've received, I don't know, what's that, 12 distributions in the 8 to 10 cent range. So
yeah, it's crazy. Brian W has a question, which I was going to hold off to the end, but he did give a super chat. And by the way, Brian, if you should go over to ETF Inspector's channel, show him some love, because I'm not sure how I could split this up.
It's okay.
He bought us both coffees, but
he has hooked me up before, so I know Brian. I appreciate that. I don't know.
I don't know if you see his question, but I'm going to read it so everyone can hear it. Which type of options trading would be considered safer, and how does it contrast to what the ULTY managers are doing? Seems kind of crazy how they do it on super volatile stocks.
So Rod, I mean, so I am not the I don't want to say professional. I'm not the know-it-all in things. I would say this is safer, right? Because the other funds don't use the protective puts. So they're trying to make us extra money by going after the volatility, but they're being smart about it because we're talking about funds that could crash. So not every single one of them. We know a lot of them are strong, but some of these could tank, and so they're protecting our value that way, where the other ones don't. If let's say, Tesla goes to nothing because, Elon decides he's done, then TSLY goes to nothing too, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree, because if you think about it, pre-prospectus change, they were only selling calls, owning
Right.
the underlying or not, maybe synthetic positions. But now what they're doing is, obviously, yeah, they're still trading the highly volatile stocks, but buying that put protects them. And I think it helped them. I forget which stock not that long ago, it just dropped so bad, but it didn't even really affect ULTY. But it just shows that, and it's in the price, right? They've been paying us what, 8, 9, 10 cents every single week, and it's been pretty stable around the $6 range. So I would say, quote unquote, safe. Obviously, there's not, ultra high yield fund, nothing really going to be safe about it, but they're playing it to me as safe as they can while paying us the highest yield. At least that's just my thoughts, Brian.
Yep, absolutely. I'd agree. Yeah, Tesla took a huge hit and we hardly noticed it. GameStop took a pretty big drop and we hardly noticed it. I can't remember the one. It's even been referenced in the chats, but we ended up selling out of them. So that's the other thing that makes ULTY safer, if you want to say it in that sense,
Yeah.
is so they're not tied to these. They'll get out of AppLovin, or they'll get out of Coinbase or First Solar. It's there to make us money, and if it's not going to, they'll just sell the shares and move on and add to a different one. Where your individual income funds, they can't do that. They're tied to that one underlying. So I think that this has a lot of potential to stick around for a long time. If these stop making us money, they'll switch to ones that do.
Do you notice on those drops mentioned, like if their put is essentially, become valuable, right? If they drop below the put that they bought, are they closing out that on that next day usually, or that same day, or do they leave it?
So a lot of times what they'll do, like let's say Coinbase tanked, right? And these 410s became like 15-20% out of the money. They will buy those to close nice and cheap, and then they will sell new ones closer to money to try and collect more premium. And then a lot of times they will sell that put at a nice profit, a huge profit, and they'll slide it down. So when the stocks go down, they don't make out better on the options than the decrease in value on the change in market value. But when the stocks go up through the strikes, they actually increase the value more than the loss you take on the options. That's why Jay says he's fine with the stocks, soaring right past our strikes.
And one more question, I'll let you continue. Since you've been covering ULTY, has there been one day without a trade?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
No. So here I was getting ready to get to the trades. So I started like maybe 2 months ago, and just this week started on line 3,550. So we had 670 roughly trades this past week, July 21st through July 25th. And now, especially, so I don't want to say, hey, everybody stop buying into the fund, but every time people buy into the fund, they're going to put all that money to work. So that's going to equal buying all new shares of the different stocks within it, and then selling options to go along with all those new shares. So every day is a ton of trades. This is all still just this week. So
guys, keep that in mind when you're watching ETF Inspector's channel, how much work he's actually going through each and every day. So make sure to obviously like and subscribe his stuff, because it is a lot of work. And he's not even monetized yet. So go show him some love for the blood, sweat, and tears that he's dealing with.
Yep. So I'll show you guys. So this was last week, since we're talking about trades. Well, let me back up 1 second, then we'll talk about trades. So I did want to update you guys. We added InnoData. Have you ever heard of them, Rod?
No.
Me neither. So we added them this week. Like we talked about earlier, we got rid of the AMD call spread that we had on Tuesday. And then we got rid of ServiceNow, which was fairly new. We had just added it maybe end of last week. We got rid of ServiceNow, stock ticker NOW, this Thursday. And then we added Galaxy Digital, which is also over in LFGY. And we added Snap this week. So they're constantly, I would say there probably hasn't been a week where they haven't swapped out stocks within the fund as well.
So they are super active to say the least.
They're earning their money. And every time they swap them out, I have to rewrite formulas because I'm adding a new one in or taking one out. So like if I delete Snap, all of a sudden it'll throw off all these percentages. It'll throw off the sum of shares, and it'll throw off the weighted IV. And I have to rewrite formulas a couple times a week. But so as far as the trades, right, we talked about there's been 670-ish this week. Obviously, you guys don't want to go through all them right now, but this week was our best trading week. So I'll give you a little behind the scenes look for my Sunday video. We had profitable trading days, which we generally don't. We generally make all our increases. If you see last week, it was share value increases of $112 million. So this week was crazy because we made $12+ million on our trading, and we didn't lose share value. You know, the two usually are inverse of each other. If the stocks go way up, you're going to lose your trades. And if you're winning all your trades, it's probably because the stocks went down. But you might as well call it flat on the, like we said, 12 were at an increase for the week, 12 were at a decrease. It basically evened out, and we made $12.7 million trading.
So the profit loss, you said that's just the calls and the puts, or the options in general, and then the share value is the buying and the selling of the underlyings.
So not the buying and the selling. So I'm glad you asked. So when they buy stocks, the individual stocks, the underlyings, or they sell them, I don't consider that in our trading profit and loss, because this is an options income fund, right? So if you put money into the fund, if somebody buys shares and 10 million comes in and then they spend the 10 million, that shouldn't count as a $10 million loss in our trading, right? They were just putting the money to work. And so now if I'm not going to call it when you buy the stocks, then I'm not going to call it when you sell the stocks either. Although sometimes they're pretty quick, and you could do a quick figure out if we turn around and sold this tomorrow for 20 million. But there's most of the stocks, a lot of them have been there for a long time. So we're keeping track of the options trades, all the money that comes and goes options wise. So for example, what date's that? The 24th. So if I clicked on the 24th, you can see it did not include the buying or selling of individual stocks. I shouldn't have moved the mouse over that. Oh, come on. Not great with computers.
That's it. Come on, Cletus.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. But you saw the highlight first started to come up. It didn't highlight the stocks themselves. The highlighting started on the options trades.
So what's the share value then? The share value.
So the share value increase is this number, right? So let's say now these have all zeroed out because it's not a trading day, and so prices right now are the same as prices closed yesterday. But let's say this was up $1 million, down $1 million, up to, so that the overall change in value on the day gets totaled up down here, and then I copy and paste that into each day. So like we were down 39 million in value on Monday, down another 11 million in value on Tuesday. We were up 34. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm just thinking in general, not trying to give you more work.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how hard it would be to add how much new money is coming in versus leaving. And then that way you would be able to add the buying and selling of the shares, you know what I mean? To show if they're actually profiting on those, the trading.
Well, the tough part would be to keep track. you just run out of space and columns because they're not going to sell 302,700 shares of Rigetti one day. They're going to sell 5,000 or
of it. Yeah.
5,000. And so then to try and continually keep track forever, then they're going to buy some more back. So it's kind of like it'd be like a never-ending process.
Yeah.
So they're generally not trading the stocks as their way of generating income. They're trading options to generate income. That's kind of my take. And like I said, the other way, it would be almost impossible to keep track of it. But so I give an estimate each week so we can see. I'll even do a little reveal here for you on the show. So they made 3.6 cents per share, right? That's generally
not a good estimate.
I mean, we've been losing, right? So that's based on the income. They made 3.6 cents. But then we default to the IV. So the IV was slightly decreased from last week, but it's still good. I mean, we're talking about an IV in the 80%, and our stock price.
Is that just average IV, or is it average based on the actual weighting? I know
that's average based on the weighting. So that's why my IV ends up looking a little different than yours.
Yeah. That's
right.
No, that's good.
So so this formula is, you can see it. This is each's IV multiplied by its individual weight, and then total them all together.
Okay.
So that's your weighted average multiplied by your closing price on Friday, and then divided by 52. And so it's looking like we're going to be under 10 cents this week. So then my guess is actually down a little because we were down for the week share price wise, and didn't quite make near what we made. But who knows, right? They might want to keep on incentivizing the 100 million new shares.
Yeah, 10 cents, but 10 cents the last 2 weeks, so 9 cents.
Yeah, and we're close.
We're close.
And then I show you how far I was off each week based off of the previous. So, but as you can see, like last week was a $20 million loss in trading, and they still paid us over 10 cents because they increased in value by so much. Okay. So I think that's about everything I wanted to talk about, right? Because on a daily basis, I'll literally total up and tell you how much money was made for AAOI trading, for AMD trading, for AppLovin, right? And then I'll just highlight which one. That's what this red and green. That's just like the AST Space Mobile happened to be the biggest loser yesterday in the fund, and Innodata was the biggest gainer on the fund. But now that everything's zeroed out, you can't tell that.
All right. So before I ask if anyone has questions, did you want to just mention what else you talk about on your channel so people know?
Sure. Let's see the easiest way to pull that up. So
I have your channel up if you want me to share.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If you just want to show it. So I do similar to you, because I really like your personal trades videos, even though they're not, talking about how a fund is doing or anything like that. I like it. So I started making my own. So I do my own personal trades, and who cares if people watch it or not? It's a fun way to track it.
Yeah.
I also do the Roundhill Zero DTE funds. I know YieldMax has them too. I just didn't want to get myself so overwhelmingly relying on YieldMax that if YieldMax went under, my channel goes under. So I decided to pick a different company and follow their zero DTE funds. And then I also I cover 7 more of the individual income funds that you cover, but I only do it on a weekly basis because I was not getting a lot of people wanting daily coverage on those. They're some of the safer ones, right? That's kind of why you don't really show them either. Apple, Netflix, Amazon. But I think there's people out there that like those steady steady, not going anywhere companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a playlist for each.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask the community if they have any questions for the ETF inspector or myself or both of us. Feel free to ask. Steel Horses, he has a question. How often is ULTY rebalanced? I think we know the answer, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, so since so much money has been coming in lately, the way to rebalance has been, if one's a little high, you just buy more of all the rest, or if one's a little low, you just buy more of that one. Before the billions of dollars came in, it was maybe on like a weekly basis.
Okay. There's a question from Retire Abroad Finance. Again, another YouTuber. So shout out to her if anyone wants to give her a follow. Can someone explain how the synthetic position works in layman's terms? If they never really own the underlying, how they can write calls against it? I could take this if you want, but
Yeah.
so they get the money. Well, obviously, people invest in these funds. It goes into cash. They put it in treasuries. They do whatever they want, right? And then they kind of use that as the collateral in order, to do their options. But when they buy a call, that's really, the portion of the synthetic that they can sell calls against. And that's why they do it typically. At least they don't do the more contracts on selling calls versus the buy call. They could do vice versa, of course, in order to keep some uncapped. But yeah, basically they're able to do that via the collateral position. I believe the brokerage is most of them accept treasuries as collateral. Some require 100% cash. At least that's what I was told from YieldMax. But basically, it's through the collateral that they're able to open the synthetic position, which then allows them to sell covered calls against. Hopefully that answered your question, Retire Abroad. All right, let me just see if there's any other questions. Let's see. Looks like other people answered her too. Here's a video question. Is ULTY limited to how many different options that they can get involved with? 25 to 30? Could they actually have 50 or 100 if there are more volatile options? I'll leave that one for you.
If you go on their website, they say 15 to 30 is the number. So 15 would make my life a lot easier, but generally we stay closer to 30.
Yeah.
So
they don't like making your life easier. I'm just letting you know now.
Yeah.
I try to tell them, chill out in the trading. It doesn't work, but
yeah, I'm kind of glad that we're down to 24 right now, because we were up around 27. I think we've hit 30 a couple times, and yeah, it just makes, I feel like I'm talking forever in my videos at that point.
Yeah, it's a lot. All right, let's see. All right. Oh no, I missed this question. This is from Mono. For both of you, since you both work with YieldMax and Roundhill, can you compare the weeklies PLTW, PLTY, MSTW, MSTY, and how they're structured differently apart from just paying out weekly? Well, I mean, obviously MSTW just launched, right? So you can't really compare those two, although they are on my comparison on the daily. PLTW versus PLTY. I mean, obviously that's something that I don't know, ETF inspector. But do you ever do? I know you don't have time like me, but is that a video you would ever entertain? I guess that's what they're asking.
I've got ideas for different videos, but it's just when's the time to make them, because all the behind the scenes work and then the making the videos and uploading takes up probably all of my free time, to the point where my family's kind of waiting around. So I get ideas for things, but they kind of get just like saved for later in case I happen to make time. But I'm not. So I cover Roundhill, but only their 0 DTE funds. It's really easy. Each fund makes one trade per day. So I get to cover one trade. I don't cover everything of Roundhill, and I actually don't cover PLTY or MSTY because I watch your coverage on that. So
yeah, and Mono, to answer your question, they are structured much differently from their process. But I have a video coming out Monday or Tuesday. I forget when I launched it, but Mono, you're a Wolfpack member, I believe, anyway, so you can watch it now. But basically, they don't sell calls on the round hill funds. They don't sell calls on any of them. It's just a leverage play that pays income. Obviously, when you look at PLTY, it's completely different, right? It's an options play because they sell covered calls. They have the synthetic. But for the most part, what I'm noticing on the round hill ones is they simply hold leverage through swaps and a small percent in the underlying, and they just pay income. So as long as we're in a bullish environment, these funds are going to be fine. But if the stocks go down, there's no downside protection on those funds. So it's going to be a little rough time. But anyway, let's see if there's any other questions.
Don't forget
another YouTuber, LA Appliance Guy. You got to show up at LA Appliance Guys premieres once in a while. I don't know if you ever do.
Yeah. I get there sometimes. I generally don't make the premieres as well because I'm work starting, but I definitely go back and watch them and comment. LA, obviously, he's great at fixing things, but he was made to entertain people. That guy has got us all watching somebody fixing appliances, and it's more interesting than TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's made for it. But because I look at what he's fixing at the same, I'm like, how the hell? I'm like, I can never do that. But all right. So what do you? I don't know if that was a question for us. How does RecShares growth and income funds work? I don't know if that's a question for us either because they're talking amongst themselves.
Right.
But the RecShares MS2, MSII, they do somewhat of leverage as well. I believe it's 1x to 1.25x leverage, and they sell covered calls on 50% of the position. So that's kind of how they differ. Here's a video question. I'll let you answer this one. It's from brother AB. Have you explored utilizing AI to automate any of your processes?
I haven't explored it. I would love to. I just got to tell you, I had to learn how to do everything on YouTube. Rod could tell you that yesterday I had to learn how to do StreamYard just so we could prepare for this. So yeah, I'm a 40-year-old man trying to learn things as I go. I had to learn how to make thumbnails. So that's that would be great. As close as I've gotten to that is I have found the way in Excel to pull the closing stock prices because I used to have to type all of those in individually as well. So I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, and I always say automating some of it is fine, but if you automate the whole thing, you kind of lose touch with the data. So when you speak of the data, you may not be, as familiar with what you're doing. Because when I plug in the numbers, like a lot of it is manual, and I feel it. Like I do it the day before, and I talk about it the next day. But still, I remember, oh crap, yeah, I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about that. Right. But if it's all automated, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to sound like a robot, right? We're going to sound like robots just reading data. So AI is great, I think, but to an extent, right? You need kind of like the real touch in a way.
Yeah, because then even in the trades, like when I go through the trades individually, like I'm able to pick up on sometimes they don't just roll. They don't just close it and do the next one. They'll do like an intraday trade in between and make some extra money. Like they'll sell something and then buy it back and then sell a new one before the day ends.
Exactly. And then you could speak to that, because you do get kinds of questions like that. But Kieran wants to know who spends more time behind the scenes, me or you. I would have to say you, honestly, looking at your data with ULTY and LFGY, especially since you just started, you're probably still finding ways to simplify it, obviously, which will probably get easier in the future. But Yeah, I'll give that one to ETF Inspector for sure.
Not because I'm working harder, just because I'm not as good at it yet.
No, it's well, your funds are not easy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's not. I don't even know where to begin with those, but it's
But I
crazy.
like it. It's made me fall in love with ULTY. Obviously, not financial advice, but I feel safer putting my money into these high volatility stocks than in ULTY than I did trying to do it myself.
Yeah, and I like it. I was telling people at YieldMax, like I'm learning more about options as I'm covering their trades, right? Because I know about basically the wheel strategy. That's pretty much my lane. I stay in it. But as I learn, covering their funds, there's a lot, obviously, that some of their strategies, it kind of helps me. But need to get you guys to interview Jay. Well, combo attack. But yeah, are you? Is that something of interest to you in the future? I guess that's so the community knows, interviewing Jay.
Yeah, definitely in the future. I just don't want to rush into it. I've got a small list of questions. I don't want to end up interviewing him for 5 minutes because I don't have enough to talk about. But I would like to get a lot of questions asked that would just basically help me provide better coverage and better understanding of how things are working. But
Yeah.
I'm just not ready yet.
Oh, Mono said tag team. I'll just have a. Well, he's sick of hearing from me, probably though.
You're a big wrestling guy, so we'll just keep jumping. Tag me out.
Yeah, who's going to be the referee?
We don't need a referee.
No, I'd definitely recommend doing some live streams first. Maybe just on your own, probably either through StreamYard or whatever you use, and then because I think I started my first live stream in general using the app was an interview, and it was kind of like, oh crap, what do I do? But once you get used to it, it's pretty easy. Oh yeah, before I get to the end, the comments I make in the end, do you have your dad joke available?
Yeah. I just didn't want people to sign off. So this one's one of my favorites, but I hope I haven't told it on my ULTY channel already. But you got a lot more viewers anyway. So Rod, you ever see like divers, with all their scuba gear on and all, getting ready to enter the water from the boat? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know how they always fall backwards into the water?
Yeah.
You know why that is?
Why?
Well, if they fell forward, they'd still be in the boat.
I get it. See, typical dad joke. See?
Yeah. It's supposed to make you roll your eyes and chuckle.
Yeah. Nice. So for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, he has a dad joke for every single video on his channel. I believe it's from a calendar you said your daughter got you, right?
Yep.
Of dad jokes. So he has one for every day of the year. So if you like dad jokes, that's definitely the channel to be at. But for anything ETF Inspector and I talked about today, none of it was financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We're just, the everyday working man, everyday parent, just trying to get by. So this video today was for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you're entertained. And, if you guys have feedback for the ETF Inspector, feel free to leave it down below or go to his channel. Actually, please go to his channel. Go check it out. Give him a subscribe. Give him a like. Buy him a coffee. Obviously, he works hard on his stuff, and it's not easy. I can vouch for that. What he's doing is not easy, and it's daily. It's daily grind. So I just wanted to say thank you, ETF Inspector, for joining us today and giving us the coverage on ULTY. I appreciate it. Hopefully more people now can reach out to your channel. So do you want to, before I get into the keyword and everything, do you want to give any other socials outside of YouTube? How else can people get a hold of you?
I'm just also on X. I created it at the same time as the channel, just to kind of point towards the channel. It's not monetized or anything, but it's just at ETF_Inspector1. But yeah, nothing really other than that. I just wanted to thank you for giving me this opportunity. You actually reached out to give me the opportunity. And for people that don't know, behind the scenes, Rod has given me so much help, so much advice. And then in front of everybody he has as well. That's how the channel grew as quick as it did. So he's a great guy. And if you guys didn't realize, he was just on vacation all week and he's still putting in hours to make these videos. So we all appreciate you. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. If you don't mind hanging on, even when I I'll end the stream, obviously, we can catch up real quick for a minute. But if anyone enjoyed this content today, please hit the like button. If you had any questions for myself or ETF Inspector, type them down below. If you had a video question, just type the word video question followed by the question. But since we're at the end of the video, it's keyword time. So if you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it, see, you could do that, Inspector, and annoy people. I think they like being annoyed. It's keyword time. So if you made it this far in the video and you would like to prove it, the keyword today is simple: ETF Inspector. So I want all of you, whether you're on Twitter, X, or on YouTube, to type out ETF Inspector, or better yet, why not share his channel? That way people can see it and click it and go check him out, because we want to make sure word gets out that his channel's out there and he's doing a lot of work. Because if people are interested in the day in and day out trades of other YieldMax funds, that I do not cover, he's more than likely covering it. So you may want to, go check it out on YouTube, and go, give him a follow on Twitter, or, and show him some love, give him a retweet here and there. So yeah, like I said, if you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it to myself and the ETF Inspector and the entire community, you got to type in the word ETF Inspector or share his channel. All right, guys, on that note, I will end it there. Inspector, if you would like to hang on, we can chat after. But I just wanted to say to everyone, it's been an hour and 22 minutes, and I appreciate all of you, especially attending the live for this long. You are true troopers, and we appreciate it. So thank you for watching, and have a great day. Any final words for the community?
No, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
All right. And then we will see you tomorrow.